There are some iconic villains in history, like Darth Vader, Sauron, the Nazis that get their face melted in Indiana Jones. But over the last 10 years, none quite hold a candle to Thanos, the ballsack chin purple dude. He is one of the most quotable villains of our generation. Actually, screw it, run some quotes.
I know what it's like to lose. Feel so desperately that you're right, yet to fail nonetheless. You should have gone for the head. You could not live with your own failure. Where did that bring you? Back to me.
Okay, that was sick, that was cool, we all like that, but Thanos is known as the Mad Titan. The Mad Titan. Yeah, his plan in the MCU is crazy. Too many resources, half the people. Sounds like you could have just doubled the resources. Bit crazy, bit Mad Titan. But it's crazy that a character that has such a long history in the comics, normally people would be pissed that he's so different in the movies. Because he is so different in the movies. In the comics, he isn't understandable, not half justified like he is in the movies. There aren't people saying Thanos was right. Thanos is the Mad Titan. He is insane. He is in love with the personification of death. I'm going to run through about 5 issues, exactly 5 issues, and we're just going to chat about how Thanos from the comics is so much more evil than the Thanos that we get in the movies. So I've said that Thanos has like a mission. He's on a crusade. Something that's sort of noble in a way. He just wants to stop everything that happened on his home planet from happening to everyone else in the galaxy. The Thanos that we get in the comics is petty, he's cruel, he's twisted, and I'm going to prove it with this issue. Thanos Volume 2, Annual 1. Now this issue, this annual, is a bunch of short stories narrated by Cosmic Ghost Rider. We'll get to him later in the video. It's not super important now. But he's narrating all these stories on how evil Thanos is. There's a story in here about how he helps a woman cross the road and knowingly changes the course of history so that one woman who is meant to cure diseases and have a successful life and change the world for the better doesn't have that happen to them. All with a simple little butterfly effect. And then he visits her on her deathbed and shows her and says, ha 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 ha, you're dead. But that's not the story in this issue that I want to break down. The story in this issue that I do want to break down is so much more petty. There's no reason for him to do this. Thanos tortures a man every single birthday. Every single birthday, there's this poor dude called David that he visits and he just ruins something about his life. And these aren't small things. They start off small. On David's first birthday, he pinches the baby blanket off from him and he starts crying. Okay, yeah, not horrible, but like not good. Alright, let's skip ahead to David's 5th birthday. David's dad is out getting him birthday cake, as you would for a 5-year-old child. And David checks the driveway and his dad's car is a crumbled mess. Crushed and destroyed with his dad and the cake inside. David's 16th birthday. David wakes up and Thanos is fidgeting on his phone like a jealous girlfriend and breaks up with his girlfriend. Thanos dumps David's girlfriend via text. On his 21st birthday, he roofies all of his friends, maybe poison and kills them, who knows, but he roofies all of his friends at his birthday party. And then on his 25th birthday, he burns down the grad school that David just got into. On David's 27th birthday, Thanos kills his cat. And then Thanos misses David's 30th birthday. David's watching the news and the Avengers have banished Thanos, so Thanos misses that birthday. He makes up for it the next year though. On his 31st birthday, he sees David at home and absolutely eviscerates everything in his neighborhood, all around his house. I still don't know how David got out of this predicament because there's a black hole around his house. Then we skip forward to David's 45th birthday, and David's not living great at this moment in time. Thanos even says, hey, we don't have much to work with here anymore. And David's finally had it, so he confronts Thanos. He says, you've tormented me every year of my life, and for a long time, all I wanted to know was why. But lately I've started to think, why do you think I'll keep sticking around for all this? Why don't I just kill myself, right? That's why. You want to see how far you can push a person. I know what you do the rest of the year. You conquer planets and you kill superheroes. but every year you come back to me. So I'm going to tell you why I hang on, why I keep living, despite everything you've done to me, to the people I love. I wake up every day. And Thanos then punches a hole in the pipes and interrupts David by flooding his house and says, "No, David, I don't care. See you next year." See, this Thanos ruins this man's life just for the fun of it. See, in the movies, Thanos sees violence as necessary, as everything is balanced. He needs to do this for a greater cause. Comic Thanos doesn't work like that. The next issue we're looking at is Cosmic Powers issue 1. And I'm not really breaking down much from this because this all happens within the first couple pages. See, after resurrecting himself and bringing himself back from death, the thing he's in love with, Thanos goes around space just looking for meaning again. He just needs to feel like Thanos. And how does Thanos feel like Thanos? Well, he kills an entire civilization. A proud warrior civilization known as the Oven Mercenary Army. He kills these dudes all hands. And I mean, it looks cool. He's standing over a bunch of bodies. He takes out the last one, but he doesn't break a sweat. He does not break a sweat. He doesn't think of it as necessary evil like his MCU counterpart. This isn't for any reason. This is very similar to the David thing, only murder. And it doesn't even fix his boredom issue. He goes back to the ship and is just like, yeah, hardly broke a sweat, bro. That was easy. Who's next? He wipes the floor with this group, bodies stretching the horizon, and he couldn't give a single bull-chinned fuck. See, this Thanos, I don't like the MCU, isn't driven by any form of logic or code. The MCU frames him as this tragic utilitarian. He has to do this. He's the only one that can. Thanos in the comics is just a cosmic sociopath. He's just a bad guy. Okay, so we've covered that Thanos is just generally a bad guy. Let's start comparing some things more closely to the MCU, more closely to, you know, the difference between how Josh Brolin and the Mad Titan might interact with this situation. We're going to look at Thanos Rising issue 3. Now, Thanos Rising is a series that just goes through Thanos' origins. It shows him at birth to the Thanos that we know. Now, this is a great series for understanding where the comic Thanos stands. There's so many things that I could cover from this, like the fact that he was born and his mother saw evil in his eyes and immediately tried to kill him. I guess with a face like that, not even a mother could love it. This dude is ugly. And yeah, he just from that experience, his mother is driven insane and ends up in the loony bin. Thanos grows up a curious boy. He is vastly intelligent, but he doesn't want to murder. He doesn't want to kill. That's not his deal yet. He meets this girl. He meets this girl who encourages him in his little experiments. You know, he starts kidnapping people. He starts dissecting people. Uh-oh, he dissected his mother. That wasn't on accident. He intentionally did that. He killed his mother when he was like 14, and then he gets off the planet and becomes a pirate. So this girl they fell in love with, she stays on Titan, where he's from. So without this girl that he's definitely fallen in love with, Thanos grows up a little bit. He goes through some years as a pirate. You know, he initially doesn't kill, but then he starts to kill, and you know, he builds that empire around him of his little pirate crew going across the universe, and gets a bit of a reputation for himself. See, not only is he starting to kill, he also beds a bunch of alien babes. I mean, he might be ugly on Titan, but my boy slays out there in the big bad universe. So he's pumping alien chicks, and he gets a bunch of them knocked up. Actually, I'm pretty sure he gets all of them knocked up. So he's seeding a lot of kids, and it's part of his experiment. He looks into these kids' eyes, and he wonders if they're a monster just like him. And he leaves them. He leaves them every single time. He leaves the baby mama, and he's a deadbeat. He kills a lot of people, so that's not the worst thing he does. It's pretty bad, but it's not the worst. But then he meets up with this girl from childhood again. You know, they've grown up, they've grown older, a bit more mature, and she reveals herself as Death. See, even in this comic, it's not clear if this is a real thing. Like, there's a lot of comics where he actually does love the physical manifestation of death. But for a lot of this comic, you know, he's dancing with corpses or arguing with corpses, and his crewmates think he's fucking insane. And he's like, how can I prove my love to you? Well, Death calls him out. He's just like, hey, you've been a little hussy out there. If you love me, I don't want to see any of these kids running around. So Thanos starts a journey. He goes across space and he kills all of his baby mamas and all of his kids in servitude to death. Now let's compare that to the MCU, because he does kill a kid in the MCU. He kills Gamora, his favorite kid. It's not really like the same level of evil though. In the movies, he kills Gamora to serve the rest of the universe. It's a selfless thing. He's destroyed, he's heartbroken over it. In the comics, he's doing it so he can get laid by Mistress Death. What's a life really worth, you know? Like one murder, hundreds of murders, like one life is so precious. I don't know, bro. Dropping a fully grown adult daughter off a cliff and then crying about it, in my eyes, is not as bad as drop kicking babies and killing baby mamas that have missed you and welcome you back into their homes. Don't really want to compare it, but one's worse. See, at least in the MCU, he has a rationale, he has a mission, but it's not psychotic. Whereas this imaginary romance with death and everything in servitude to a deity that just wants things to die, there's no rationale with that. The next issue I want to break down is Thanos Volume 2, Issue 10. Now in this issue, we have a very weakened Thanos. He's lost his godlike powers, he's been living like a vagrant on the ruins of Titan. And this is all because of his son. One of the sons that he missed in that last little crusade Death put him on to kill all of his children. And this dude, Thane, wants Thanos' blood, so Thanos needs to get his powers back. In this, Thanos goes off to the God Quarry. Now the God Quarry is a thing that exists at the end of everything, outside of time, outside of space. So the God Quarry is run by these people called the Witches of Infinity. Now the Witches of Infinity, they basically collect all the powers of dead gods that die across the Marvel Universe and store it and allocate it out. Now to allocate it out, you have to face the God Quarry. You go in there, you turn into stone, Medusa-like statue, and it will put you through a trial, a tribulation. No one's made it out. No one's made it out of the God Quarry. Unpassable test. Thanos does it in a couple pages. Thanos' trial is, he goes in the God Quarry, turns to stone, and he finds peace. A non-violent, non-horrible existence. He becomes the head of the Avengers. He is the Avenger. He is managing teams. He has a good relationship with his brother Star Fox. Star Fox is off managing space-based adventures. He is crushing it as an Avenger. Think about it. He can hold off whole teams of Avengers by himself. But Thanos does as Thanos does. He's incredibly mentally strong. So Thanos realizes that none of this is real. It doesn't feel right. What doesn't feel right? Maybe that he's at peace. His mission succeeded. He has everything most people would want. And as he's looking at the Avengers monitoring screens, he sees his real life. And he immediately wakes up to the fact of what the Witches of Infinity have done. He immediately wakes up to the fact that he is Thanos. He crushes Captain America's head. Bow. He kills the rest of the Avengers. He proves himself to be just as violent, no matter what alternate reality is living in, no matter what you make him see, no matter what you make him feel. Thanos is constant, a universal constant. He's evil. So yeah, he passes the tribulations and he gets his powers because he proved that he was too evil to be perfect and good. He was given everything. So let's compare this back to the MCU. So MCU Thanos, he is on the righteous path. He wants to save the universe. What happens when he accomplishes this mission at the end of Infinity War? He retires to a farm, he finds peace. To be honest, even when the Avengers arrive, he doesn't really put up much of a fight, he accepts his fate. He's not about violence, he's not about that, he ain't got that dog in him. He rolls over and he dies. MCU Thanos had a mission and he passed it. The comic Thanos could have lived a full life in the God Quarry. He had community, he still had power, there was peace in the universe. Put the MCU Thanos in this position, he would love it. Comic Thanos, I want to get to killing my son. That's how he felt about it. He has to get back to death. He has to get his horn on. What are we doing, dog? He got to make money. He got to get these bitches. MCU Thanos, I don't think he got any bitches. All right, now we're going to look at the Thanos Wins storyline from Thanos Volume 2, Issue 15. Specifically, I want to look at Issue 15. Do you remember earlier how I said I wanted to talk about Cosmic Ghost Rider? I brought him up at least, I think. Cosmic Ghost Rider is what happens when Thanos kills all the heroes on Earth, including Frank Castle. Frank Castle on his deathbed says, hey, I want vengeance. Mephisto comes up, turns him into a Ghost Rider. Sweet. There's no one left on Earth. Ghost Rider Frank Castle spends a couple hundred years on Earth going completely insane, talking a little bit like Deadpool, And then Galactus shows up. Galactus has been beaten by Thanos and is almost dead. So Galactus needs a new herald. Frank Castle Ghost Rider says, hey, Galactus, give me your powers, you can eat Earth, we'll go kill them together. Apparently millennia pass on their adventures, and we've got a cosmic powered, Ghost Rider powered Frank Castle who is lost supply. Maybe one of my favorite Ghost Riders, and I love Ghost Rider. And then comes the titular battle. We have Mad King Thanos at this point, having destroyed most of life in the universe, against Galactus and Cosmic Ghost Rider. Galactus is killed immediately, and Cosmic Ghost Rider joins teams with Thanos. By the way, at this point, this Thanos has killed everything. Everything in the universe. He's killed Earth long ago. That's a distant thought. He's been doing some crazy stuff. I mean, he keeps Bruce Banner the Hulk as a pet in his basement and has fed him all the Avengers. So that brings us to the Mad King Thanos, and he's got one more enemy left. Now, we're not going to get all into that. That doesn't matter. Basically, he's trying to just destroy everything, so Death has nothing left to ask for. That's his mission in the comics, is to kill everything, not half of everything. So he goes back to our time and he picks up a normal Thanos, our time's Thanos, a Thanos that hasn't achieved all of this. And he brings him back up to the future at the end of time, and they're chatting. And this moment is small, but it says a lot. You remember Ghost Rider's penance stare, right? He stares into your eyes and makes you feel all the pain that you've caused others, all your sins, all the weight of your sins until you're cast into damnation or insanity or death, whichever comes first. Mad King Thanos uses this as a morning coffee, a wake-up routine to get him ready for the day, to stretch his arms and then stare at all the pain and suffering he's caused. Remember, this is a Thanos that has killed everything. Younger Thanos, our Thanos, isn't a saint either. This is after he's done the click. So in the Marvel universe, in the comics universe, he has killed half the universe. He's also, you know, murdered all of his sons. He was a pirate for a while. He's killed a lot of people. He's killed allies and enemies and whole armies just because he was bored. He feels all that, and he loves it. This is the juice that he needs to start his day. This is a breakfast of champions for him. And a small action like this just sort of proves how different he is from the MCU. Compare this to the MCU. Even though his mission was righteous, he is conflicted, he is crushed, he's in anguish, he's lost everything. And he feels the weight of that. He would not want to relive throwing Gamora off a cliff. He would not want to relive torturing Nebula. He would not want to relive anything. We do get a slightly more militant version of Thanos at the end of Endgame, but that's a Thanos that's in his war arc. That's a Thanos that hasn't really started on this holy pilgrimage. He's still wearing his battle armor. He's just found out his plans are going to fail. He's got one more shot. He doesn't know these people. He's pissed. He's annoyed. But even that guy, I don't think would want to wake up to a penance stare every morning. There's not many people that the penance stare doesn't really work on. Like, you know, I mean, like normal Punisher, not Cosmic Ghost Rider, but like normal Punisher, it doesn't really work on him sometimes because he doesn't see anything that he's done as wrong. He doesn't see it as sin. He doesn't regret. That's different. Thanos knows this is all horrible. Thanos knows what he's done. He gleefully enjoys it. So we've looked at our 5 issues. We've looked at how he tortures poor David. He takes out the Oven mercenary army. He slaughters his own children and doesn't care. He's given a chance at peace, and his incessant need for death and violence drags him out of a trial that no one else has succeeded at before. And then he relives all of this at the end of time every morning and loves it. And this isn't a bad thing. It's one of those rare instances where comic book accuracy might not have been the best thing. I mean, I love a dude that's just evil for wanting to be evil. That stuff rocks. That's sick. But to build up to your big bad in the first 3 stages of the MCU and just be like, he's a bad guy. He's evil. He loves death. It wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't have worked as well. They needed to give him a reason because it's a cinematic universe. We haven't spent years just loving this psycho space pirate. I'll put my hand up. I love comic book accuracy. If I figure these stories have been with us for ages and they work for a reason. Thanos is an incredibly popular villain. He works for a reason. Comic book accuracy should be what I always strive for. But I think this might be the exception. Maybe it's because the way Thanos' motivations work in the MCU ties everything so beautifully together. Maybe it's because of the acting involved. Maybe it's because of the stakes are a little bit more relatable. Whatever the secret formula is, I don't think there's many comic book fans that really cared that we didn't get Mistress Death and Thanos swap and spit I mean, just wait, my next couple videos are probably going to be like, why isn't this character like his comic counterpart? Probably, that's what I do. And I feel strongly about it, but I'm sort of happy. You know, I can watch the Infinity Saga and get this nuanced, almost completely separate character wearing the same skin. And it's entertaining and great. But then right after, I can just run away to the comics and read about Thanos being a little deviant space pervert that gets a hard on for Death. Both things can exist, and both things are pretty sick.